Hey there. I want to keep sharing tools and thoughts about this current situation that is, I think, for all of us affected to some level by the topics, the triggers of war, of trauma, of fear, of destruction, maybe of fear of what the future might bring. So, and first of all, I'm speaking to people who are not directly affected by war in this moment. So if your house, your home, your hometown is bombarded right now by real bombs, of course, this is something like whole another level of the same trigger. And exactly this situation or this constellation or this matter of fact leads or can lead in everybody who isn't bombarded in this moment in a concrete way to some kind of inner comparison. Who am I feeling miserable for something with less misery or less suffering than a concrete explosion in my hometown? So what I see a lot happening around me is that people are so worried and triggered and concerned and really so eager to help in concrete ways that really work for people who are affected by war in the most concrete and horrific ways. And then they start, or so to speak, we start to blame ourselves for still feeling also triggered by superficial stuff from our everyday routine. Let's say I want, like my soul, my essence, my being wants to go concretely to the Ukraine in order to really help where people are needing our help. And then at the same time, I'm triggered by my boyfriend. And then I feel secretly ashamed. It's like, okay, am I not taking serious where work really needs to be done? Am I still a superficial bitch, so to speak? And I want to zoom into this inner dynamics and maybe I want to offer in this podcast another way to approach those inner triggers. Because if we are walking the path of words, the path of content, of meaning, of culture, if we walk the path of culture, yes, we have to compare the content. We have to compare, okay, lady, is it really a problem that your boyfriend triggers you with something, how he has been triggering you for all those years before? It's nothing new. It's nothing that you can blame him for. It's just, it's a waste of your energy, a waste of your time. Just stop feeling triggered that way. You can do this inner comparison game, especially when you are very aware of other people who are suffering so much more and on a more essential or existential level. But my work is not about the path of words. It's not about the path of this culture. It's about the path of energy. It's about surfing the path of energy, dancing on the path of energy, and living and breathing and moving the path of energy. What does that mean? It means that basically there is no such thing like a superficial trigger. There is no such thing existing in this universe. It's just not possible. Your nervous system isn't off or lazy or stupid or stubborn or blocked or neurotic or traumatized or whatever, and therefore it would create out of the blue something superficial that it wants to waste its energy in. Your nervous system cannot do such a thing like wasting its own energy. But the internal, the deep subconscious layers of charge in your nervous system coming from cultural and collective developmental trauma, those charges can come up with the form, with the, I could say, a justification of, oh, let's use this form. Let's use the form of my boyfriend. Let's use the form of bad weather around. So if you if you keep misinterpreting your inner state of being irritated, being dissatisfied, being sleepless as something that just comes from you feeling bored in your everyday routine, it's a misunderstanding, because you can follow down this rabbit hole coming from a so-called superficial trigger, but that's only the entrance. If you start taking serious in times of war, even in times of war, that your boyfriend triggers you, and you start following this rabbit hole down into the very depth, you see that your boyfriend's triggers in your nervous system have never ever been about your boyfriend, never ever been about your relationship, never ever been even about your relationship to the outer world at all. It has always been about, it was like a secret offer of your nervous system. If you want to get to know yourself to the very depth, use this as the first step and then follow the path of energy. How can that look like? For example, that's the thing that I will keep sharing over and over again. Whole body shaking, because whole body shaking while you are breathing consciously and fully present in your body and for your sensations is a way that also wild, healthy animals use in order to stay wild and in order to stay healthy. So it's to some extent the complete opposite to what our culture is suffering from on the collective level, which is basically all of us are domesticated due to something that we call civilization, and we think it pays off. In fact, it can't pay off. It's just a loss and a waste of energy. It's just a trauma symptom. And in those terms, no, it doesn't pay off. So unlearning culture, unlearning domestication, the fastest, most efficient and most, how can I say that? The one fits all, maybe not one fits all, but one fits for almost everything. Medicine that your nervous system, can be exposed to, or that you can suggest to your nervous system at least, is whole body shaking. If you are curious about going deeper into whole body shaking, there is at least one free opportunity every month that I'm offering at the moment in English. So it's a Zoom call, and I will put the link into the show notes, so it's completely free. And this is something how you can get to know whole body shaking in a group of people. I want to say that there is a difference to you shaking with your individual charge, because my free events are all of us donating our whole body shaking to something that is meant to heal or regulate the collective trauma. However, even this is linked and connected, because if you go down your rabbit hole from the, so to speak, superficial trigger with your boyfriend, you will see that eventually it is all about collective stuff. It's all about something that has been there as a charge in this collective nervous system before your birth. So I think the whole concept of our individual stuff is in the same way the 80s. Old school, it's old fashioned, it's not real, it's not up to date, like the whole concept of superficial stuff. And then eventually you realize that what has been triggering you in times of war as something so-called superficial, and that is your private stuff with your private boyfriend, that this has been coming up easier or faster because of the war, because it reflects the macrocosmic disaster of war being existent in this moment in your microcosmic inner disaster. Because yes, that this is a back and forth. This is a mirror game between the inner and the outer world. And yes, you vibrating, you doing the whole body shaking with your internal conflict with your boyfriend, all of that is creating also it's something like you can't hinder that from happening. It's creating also a vibe of powerful peace in the outer world. So it matters that you stop blaming yourself for being triggered by individual and superficial stuff, because the individual stuff isn't that individual if you serve the path of energy, and the superficial stuff can't be about superficial stuff if you dance the path of energy. So thank you for being a dancer on the path of energy, and have fun.